Hello, hello. All right, so this is not really a tutorial. I'm making this little short series, I guess. Who knows what it'll turn into. It's kind of an experimental video project right now. It's going to be called Helmet. And in my first setting is going to be the Saloon. And I've gotten really interested in hand drawing things and turning those hand drawings into 3D models and making those my settings. So I've been experimenting with that for a couple of weeks now, and I'm just kind of walking through what I'm going through here. So you can see me hand drawing it here. And full disclosure, I am very much like you'll see a lot of Ian Hubert in this stuff. I also have done like all the Blender tutorials that everybody's done. So I've done the donut and done tons of stuff that probably all of you guys have done. So you can see me kind of going through this, and I'm just hand drawing, hand drawing this stuff, and using colored pencil. That's kind of my favorite thing to do. I've thought about kind of getting into more like paint, not painting, but like paint pens and stuff like that, or maybe some like colored markers or something. I'm not sure what that's going to do to the texture, but I really like the rough texture that colored pencils just kind of like inherently creates whenever you use them as a bump map in Blender. This is just a single plank, a single board that I'm creating. You'll see in Photoshop later that I make it in 3 sections. So those two I'll kind of combine to make 4 different things, but I'm making putting 3 different sections together to make each board. Because that's about, and what I've found out is that's about the right, I'm not sure what that was, but that's about the right scale that I need to make things kind of like have the texture I want them to have the roughness I want them to have. Actually, this balcony and stuff, they're a little small. Each little balcony section should have taken up its own sheet of paper. So here I'm going into Photoshop and I'm just cutting stuff out. Here you can see me leaving a little bit of a white line, but you'll see me leave even more of one whenever I start doing the other boards, because it's better. You basically have to do the same thing again in Blender with the knife tool. So it actually hurts you to be really succinct in Photoshop, mainly because you get too close to the borders, and you'll see later when I'm cutting things out with the knife tool, I go a little too crazy at the beginning. I think of it kind of like as Photoshop as the Photoshop lasso tool, and that's the wrong way to think about it. You'll see the very beginning one I do has way too many points. This is me just creating those 4 planks out of those 4 sections that I made. You can see I'm kind of like combining them in different ways and making different planks out of them, and merging them using the eraser and the clone tool just to kind of make a board out of them that looks decent. Those are going to be the pillars. Each of those will be a column, using columns to hold up there's a 2nd story balcony. And that right there is the saloon doors I had made previous to doing this. I didn't video myself doing that, but so this is me just importing images as planes, and I am bringing them in. You'll see me kind of putting together a balcony, kind of just like brainstorming, how do I want to put this all together, how do I want these things to go together. You'll see that I made one extra thing that I didn't need to make. I basically just made the side structures, and then I just made one and moved it over to be the left. So here you can see I'm doing way too many vertices. Way too many. I think this is Photoshop. It is not. I should be doing well under half of this amount of vertices. I should be more zoomed out. Not as worried about following the lines exactly. And but we live and we learn. But the reason I like doing hand drawings instead of creating a model and then texturing it with maybe hand drawings is because when you create a model in Blend, like I don't like the perfection that it creates. It creates a straight board or a perfectly cube or a perfectly it's a perfect thing. And there's no perfect things, and in fact, I take imperfection way to an extreme here, as you can see. But I don't like these perfect lines that are created when you model things in Blender, or at least that's not what I'm going for on this project. I shouldn't say that I don't like it. It's not what I'm going for. I like this hand-drawn thing because, as you can see, everything is like completely. There's no straight lines here. Even if you look at it from afar, it looks kind of straight. It's just not at all. So I like that. I like that things kind of like go together with gaps. And as you can see here, I'm kind of learning my lesson here, but still way too many vertices. Whenever I do those planks later, much less, many less, much less. I don't know. So I'm just cutting out the faces right now. I'm tracing this thing out like I would in Photoshop. I got rid of all the excess outer things. Now I'm going for the inside faces. You can just see me making mistakes. I'm trying to figure out where I want to start from and how I want to cut these shapes out. And I think I decide here, yes, this is where I want to cut it. Oh, nope, I didn't. I wanted to start from there. Oh, no, I did. Okay, you can see right there. Yeah, I'm just cutting out the inside of these, being a little bit more, a little bit smarter about how many vertices I use. You can see I slide vertices to where I want them to be, where I want to start. I'm not too serious about following that shape perfectly. I just basically want to get rid of all the white fringe there, Here you can see I'm kind of like, I'm just creating faces on top so that I can go in and do the more exact work later. And I just connect them, I go for try to make my little spans as short as possible and then connect them, make faces so that I can delete those faces. Delete them. And now I'm just cutting out, cutting out another inside face. It's just me cutting out the inside, more of the same, so I just sped it up here for you. Now I'm just looking at it, making sure it looks okay. So now I'm going to start extruding and actually creating some volume in this thing. And I'm kind of trying to, doing it as smart as I can to get the depth that I want. So I'll extrude, and then what I do is I extrude the entire thing, and then I start subtracting stuff that I want to be based on how deep I want something to be, how deep I want those wooden slats to be, or that kind of thing. So you can see kind of like I wanted the top and bottom piece to be a lot deeper than the cross sections. Right now here I wanted each of these little slats, later you'll see I wanted each of these little slats to be off center. I wanted them to be different lengths, add a little bit more imperfection. So I am, number one, I isolated that. Now I'm kind of like picking ones and pulling them out so that I can make them uneven, and just make them a little bit more like a carpenter put it all together, drew it all together, I guess. Now I'm just making these little jewels here that I had and just pulling them out a little bit so that you can, there you go. Making them a little bit more jewelish, so I'm just pulling out the center so it's kind of more like a diamond. Yeah, there you go. And just moving along, just checking it out, make sure it looked okay. Now I'm going to do a little bit of materialing. So I wanted those to have a little bit of a metal sheen whenever the light hits them. So I'm kind of just separating them and making them giving them a metallic Those are what I considered, you know, the fasteners. So give them a little more metallic material. I'm doing the same thing to the side. You know, just doing the thing, just modeling. You know, just using what I had, separating where I can, trying to work with the imperfection of what I've drawn. You know, now I'm just materialing, so putting the sides. Whenever you extrude something, it makes those weird sides, so I'm just like making the material so that it's pretty grueling, monotonous work sometimes, you know. Here I'm just like making the slats. You can see how I extruded it. It just stretches out the texture so it's unrecognizable. So I'm just like retexturing them, just doing project from view. And I made a little slat that I knew was going to be the boards for the balcony. So just redoing that, varying it up a little bit, moving the texture around a little bit on there so that whenever you look at it, it doesn't look too uniform. Yeah, there you go. And here I'm just importing a new one, images, planes. This is going to be the slats, those planks that I made. You notice that they're so much bigger, and that's kind of the scale I need. So now I know whenever I'm doing this again. But I'm just doing the same thing, cutting them out. You can see I'm doing a few less, but still I need to do less vertices. I need to be more thrifty with those vertices that I create. And I'm separating them into faces. I don't know if I should have done this or not, but I like there to be a little bit more separation. And now I'm beveling them, and now I'm just going to go in there and get the sides and materialize those so that they look like a board. Yeah, there you go. Beveled them, so it kind of looks. Now I'm just going to put it up on the top. Just looking at it to make sure it looks okay from the different angles. Now I'm just going to put it up on the top of the balcony. That's going to make the bottom of that balcony. I'm also probably going to use these slats to create the saloon itself, you know, so that'll be the outer walls of the saloon. It'll just have been put together like it would be in real life. So I'll probably use those planks again. And what I'll probably do is just draw out an outline. You can see right now I'm just putting them together and making the balcony look the way it looks, you know, bottom of a balcony. Trying to figure out like kind of what they would have done. And now I'm just instancing these. So I'm using Alt D, not Shift D. And so all of these there's just 4 of them in their instance. So that's why I'm scaling them in object mode instead of actually going into edit mode and making them different sizes, since it's on the bottom of the thing. So I may do something different whenever I actually build the saloon. Here I'm importing images as planes again, and these are the columns. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to map them out just like you would in Photoshop, get rid of those faces, and then I'm going to extrude and materialize them. Just same thing over and over again. So on this one, I drew 2 columns just to get some variation, you know, so that they don't look exactly the same. And then I actually used the opposite column that I drew to for the sides, where you extrude and it stretches out that material. I projected from view and used the other column. And I'm just using to fill in those areas that the weird extrusion material creates. I'm just going into my other materials and making stuff happen, you know. Very Ian Hubert. If you haven't looked up Ian Hubert stuff, look at it. It's great. He does a lot of cool stuff. I'm completely doing his method. And then this is it. This is the balcony. So now I'm just kind of taking a look at it, trying to be happy with what I've got. There are a few things I'll change, but I like it pretty much. And to make the rest of the saloon, I'm probably going to use those planks that I created, that I used on the bottom of the balcony. And I will draw out a saloon, use that as the background, and then just build it like a builder would. But we'll be getting into building the saloon next. I'll make that the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I've also got windows to make, and I'll just keep posting as I work on this project. All right.